Welcome back, fixed blade lovers, for another pocket check, fixed blade pocket check. Yes, for July 2023. Last one I did was January 2023, so I figured it's time because why? I've got some new little fixed blades. And qualifications are under 4 inches or right about at 4 inches, so they can fit in the front pocket or maybe the back pocket of your 511s, wherever it is you want to stash a fixed blade knife, either in addition to or in place of a folder. And we know that the fixed blade can be deployed quickly. It doesn't have any point of failure in a pivot or hinge. And maybe you prefer it over a folder and it may serve more function for you. So whatever the reason, you guys seem to like these pocket checks with the fixed blades. So this is the latest and hopefully the greatest. I've got 7 more knives here. And I always have my standard for compare. And this, of course, is the Street Beat by Spyderco. It is the one I compare everything else to because it is so perfect, at least in my mind. And we'll talk about this again in just a moment. It's a 3.5-inch fixed blade knife from Spyderco. It's been out for years. It's got a bigger brother called the Street Bowie, I believe. And that is the Street Beat. So where shall we start? How about the Nighthawk by TKL Knives. This is a Tonto, and this is in 80 CRV, I believe, is the steel that he's moved to from 1095. It is a knife with a ring. It's got a beautiful wood grain grips on it, what he calls, I believe, is bullet grips. And a little bit of jimping here for the thumb. An unsharpened swedge on the top, but it is just a wicked little performer in terms of both self-protection, get off me knife, as Tim likes to call them, and some EDC function as well, because you've got that beautiful straight edge here, you've got that secondary point. It is sharp as can be for a knife of this thickness and with this shallow a grind. It's amazing what he does with his knives. Now, you may or may not prefer the ring. I've got other knives here that don't have a ring. In fact, all the rest of them do not have a ring, and this is the only one. I will say at this point, if you want to know more about any one of these knives, and I'm not going to do measurements today, I have a review on each one of these individually. Just look them up on the website. You can do a search on my channel, that is. Really beautifully done here. This one does not have the lashing screws, but Tim has so many options. You can get lashing screws where you can fit a paracord through the center of the screw there. And got a nice little sharpening choil here. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on each of these because we've got 7 of them to get through. But beautiful nickel boron finish that is used on all of TKL's knives. Slick as a whistle, as they say. All of his knives come with excellent sheaths and clips. And this one happens to be a DCC clip, which he's gone to almost exclusively, except for the larger knives where he's using Tech-Lock type hardware or some combination of DCC and other mounts. Just really well done, and he always gives you a jimped ramp for your thumb to push that off in your pocket. So said I wouldn't measure, but just the overall package as it's going to be in the pocket, right? That's what counts. Is 8¼ inches on that guy. Could be smaller for front pocket carry, but you know, you can clip this right in the pocket as well. We're not saying the knife has to completely disappear. Very often just the ring is going to show. Not in this case, but if you drop it in the pocket, you can thumb it off. Or you can use a static line. You might even be able to, with some of these, use a neck carry Although I've purposely eliminated neck carry knives from the mix here. They're kind of their own breed. Next one from, I believe it's, I'm going to have to keep looking at my notes here. I think it's Mountain Blade Works. Let's see. It is the, come on, MF Blade Works. And this is the Vandal, a design partly by Ryan Atkinson and partly by the fellow who owns MF Blade Works. And I'm sorry, all the names kind of elude me now. I should have done a little bit of homework first. Deep carry, in this case, clip and sheath, so that this knife goes way down inside. Therefore, it is clipped and removed. And as you can see right away, this is a Pikal knife. I tried not to include too many Pikal knives only because they are special purpose and they may not fulfill both a get off me self-defense purpose, but as well as a utility purpose. But we do have enough of an edge here to where this can be a cutter, and in both ways. It has a Norplex Sure Touch type of G10, which is a layered G10 and rubber-like compound that gives you a tremendous grip. It is very tacky, but at the same time, it doesn't grab like rubber. And it wears actually certainly better than rubber alone would with these multiple layers. It is very ergonomic in the hand, whether you are going point down edge in, which is what it was designed for. This perfect alignment of the blade. Or in this fashion, where it can be used this way. It is a small knife. The overall package, and by the way, let's get to that in a moment, but the sheath is ambidextrous. So it will go in either way. And I believe these are turned out by Turner TNC. If I'm incorrect on that, then excuse me, but this is the OEM on this is, I should look it up for you. Yeah, so I was wrong on that. It's Dauntless. So Dauntless Manufacturing, who makes their own line of knives, made this for, is the OEM for MF Blade Works. And it's Fieldworks that Ryan Atkinson has as his moniker on both Instagram and elsewhere. So interesting knife. It is perfectly suited for pocket carry. It was designed for pocket carry, and not all these knives here were designed for pocket carry. Got to get that to click in. This last little groove here and the groove in the sheath need to mate up, and they really click in hard. I mean, you could even wear this upside down. It's going to stay put. But beautiful DCC clip. It is the shorter variety. It's going to put it in your pocket right up to about there, which is good. Or you can drop it in, and you don't have a lot to grab here, but you could possibly thumb it off. Neat little knife, the Vandal. Something new from Tops Knives since January that I did my last review. And this is the Pionero. It is designed by Ed Calderone and Tops Knives. It was specifically a design that he'd been working with them on for a while. He wanted a knife. Now, before you say it looks like an embellished steak knife, that was sort of the idea, is to have a knife that didn't look too menacing, yet served the purpose of everyday utility. You could cut your steak with that very easily. You could pare vegetables. His mom used a paring knife, a fruit knife, to fend off both muggers in their neighborhood, as well as prepare the daily meals. And she had this knife with her all the time. It wasn't exactly this one. It was more of a Henkel-style fruit knife. But Ed designed this one so that it would be just like a utility knife, just like a steak knife out of the drawer, except look at the handle, very special. First of all, of course, it's got his skeleton type logo on it. Has a name. I'm sure you'll tell me. You guys that are into Libre fighting and such. Comfortable to be held this way, but also comfortable to be held using that notch to index and edge in for pical work. It is out of 1095 steel, which Tops likes to use. It's got doesn't have the heavier black crinkle coat on it, which is good. I don't really care for that. But there is a coating on this that will prevent rust, because 1095 is a high carbon steel and is rustable. Somebody wrote me recently in a comments on, I think, one of the TKL knives. He says he gets these little spots on the edge where it's sharpened. I said, well, those are rust. And what you need to do is, if you're going to keep this close to your body and you're in moist or sweaty environments, to wipe that down with a silicone cloth or some vegetable oil if you use it for food daily. The other option is that Flitz makes a product that you can spray on, and it's a ceramic, a liquid ceramic kind of coating, similar to what you use on car finishes. And once it dries, I'm pretty sure it's not toxic, but I use those on all my knives that could possibly rust that are tool steel. So getting back to the pionero again, which means pioneer, I believe, in Spanish, can be held a multitude of ways, but this notch is cut into all of the Elvia style knives, and beautiful pommel there for capping your thumb. I know Bob DeMarco's got one of these, and he thinks highly of it as well. There is a whole video out there on Ed Calderon in the Pionero, and he's being interviewed and gives the full explanation of the thoughts behind this design. I think what I'll do is start putting these outside of the sheaths, because I am showing you the sheaths. Okay. And let's see, I think we can get them all in the shot there. There we go. Here is one I really was surprised by. This is the RMJ Unmei. That is a Japanese word which I believe means destiny or fate. And it is out of MagnaCut. There you go. It is beautifully designed, coated with, not sure what to use for their coating, but it's bead blasted, or actually like a stone washed. You know, like a heavier stone wash first, and then coated. Made in the USA, companies out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. They are also akin to the Chattanooga Leather Works, and Chattanooga Leather Works makes some sheaths for these RMJ knives as well. Under 4 inches, just barely. Beautiful textured 3D milled G10. This one is Coyote tan, I believe. And they do make this in a black and an olive. Just really comfortable. It'll work in the point down very easily. You don't have an edge in, but you do have the point down, and it feels comfortable in the hand. You could cheat it up and use it this way with the edge in if you wanted to. You just don't have your finger in the finger groove. Beautiful full belly on that, sharp as the dickens, and great for either thrusting or just daily EDC work. Cutting cardboard, opening boxes, food prep, what have you. And being that it's MagnaCut, by the way, their MagnaCut is 61 to 62 Rockwell, is what they're stating. So we get past that issue where some of the Magna Cut and some of the M390 is under 60. So well over 60. Very nicely done. Just, I think we've got like brass screws holding the handle on. The appointments and the work on this, even though it's a tactical style knife and usually they aren't too fancy, this is just extremely well done. You've got handles that are sort of shadow boxed by the tang there. We've got a V sort of a tang, but certainly blunt enough to where it doesn't cut into you whatsoever. Very useful jimping there. And you can also lay your thumb completely flat on the back of the blade, which I love. That is the Unmei by RMJ Tactical. What have we got left? Well, we've got a very special purpose knife here. We have the Elvia, made by Copis Designs, hard to get. These come and go very quickly. It has a hook on the sheath, specially designed to catch the pocket on the way out. So this is certainly designed as a pocketable knife that you can simply grab and release from the sheath. Now, I do find that that sheath does tend to fall to the ground after you pull it out of the pocket, but you could use a static line here to keep it on your belt if you so choose. Pretty much Pikal only on this knife, although, like a fruit knife, you can use it to peel with as well. It's 154 cm, has a very fine edge, although a fairly shallow grind on a flat blade. It is a FRN or GRN sort of molded on handle. Extremely, extremely lightweight. Love it. And yeah, you know, thinking about it, you could get some utility use out of this knife. Holds either way. So you've got the inward and outward 9 and 8 positions with a knife if you practice Kali. And you've got that Elvia Libre fighting sort of alignment there. Got a review on this guy as well. I'm going to back up here in a moment and do a measurement on another knife. That's 7 inches overall on that one. And the Unmei is in the sheath. Is like a little over 8 1/4 inches. So you get a little more here if you are going to carry it in the pocket, but still, it's not huge. How about the LGun? Yes, the LGun by Kaiser. And it is a Styles design. Does a lot of outdoor sort of knives. It's from D2. A lot of people were impressed by this when it first came out. It came out in a pair with something called the K-Box, which is more of a skinner with a ring on the end. This, however, seems longer than it is. It's just short of 4 inches to the handle. And it is 8 1/2 overall. So again, it's going to be amongst some of the larger knives here. Sheath is great because they give you this nice big tunnel. I wish all makers would do this. There's some very high-end makers in the production market that are not using this method of sheath release. And I think that's kind of a shame. But this one's set up for scout carry. Certainly you could dump it in the pocket. You can add DCC or ulti-clips to any of these, no problem. This one comes with a nice micarta handle, kind of a gray neutral micarta. Nice jimping. Definitely a knife you could use for EDC, as well as that Tonto-ish sort of blade with a little bit of upturn. Is still a good thruster, even though that point's just slightly higher than the back of the spine. Losing them here because I'm putting them back in the sheaths. Want to make sure you've got a parting shot at the end, what do we got left? Just 1 out of 7. And yes, this is a knife by Dirk Pinkerton, also from CPM MagnaCut. And this is the Urban. I'm going to get you the name on this one too. Where are we? This is the Pinkerton Urban Nomad is what he calls this. This is a knife Dirk didn't want to part with, and he had second thoughts after he sold it to me. And I think if I wanted to trade him back today, he'd take it in a heartbeat. A beautiful Wharncliffe style blade, almost a Sachs sort of blade that he likes to do. Not real comfortable this way. It curves the wrong way to hold it edge in, but definitely made very well with just enough handle for 4 fingers for the sock or the edge forward point up style of hold. Certainly a lot of usefulness here in this blade for utility. It is just screaming sharp too. And I think he's doing his MagnaCut at least at 60. He hardens his own, as well as, I think with a MagnaCut though, he sends it out. So that could be the difference there. And where'd the sheath go? This is kind of Dirk's typical sheath where he's got the 2 tangs coming up alongside the handle here to hold it in. Certainly you could thumb it off. It's more of a friction fit and then a snap. So you could thumb it off, yeah, and it should come out fine. Again, he doesn't give you any clips on his knives, any attachment methods. He leaves that entirely up to you. So you could use an ulti-clip, you could use a DCC, you could use a belt clip of any sort, tech lock, etc. Really nicely done G10 on this one in a beautiful wave pattern, the way he cuts those or mills those 3D. Actually, he hand does all his blades, so that's a hand-done handle. That contouring there. Fairly thin, actually very thin. And the overall package on this guy is, I want to put a point in my hand in the middle of the video, do I? Yeah, that's under 8 inches, 7 3/4, so a little on the smaller side, which is good. Trying to stay small with these knives. Some of them are just bigger than others. And there you have it. And I did say we'd compare with this guy, the Urban Bowie. Just a beautiful design blade by Perrin, Fred Perrin. There's his name right there so that I don't forget. For Spyderco. Too many names. Years ago, real nice long run of file-like jimping. Fred was the inspiration for a lot of designs you see from Bastinelli, by the way, Bastion Cove. All right, there you got it. Our pocket check for July 2023, fixed blades. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Be back soon.